Willie D. Live.
What's up, family? Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller has a chilling message for ICE agents and anyone who dares to resist or put their hands on them. Check it out.
To all ICE officers, you have federal immunity in the conduct of your duties. And anybody who lays a hand on you, or tries to stop you, or tries to obstruct you, is committing a felony. You have immunity to perform your duties, and no one, no city official, no state official, no illegal alien, no leftist agitator or domestic insurrectionist can prevent you from fulfilling your legal obligations and duties. And the Department of Justice has made clear that if officials cross that line into obstruction, into criminal conspiracy against the United States or against ICE officers, then they will face justice.
All right, fam, you heard it. This is straight from the horse's mouth. U.S. Homeland Security, Stephen Miller's mouth. He's running the show. He's telling you how it goes. But what does the law say? Interesting, that little thing called the Constitution, how handy it comes in when certain people start talking and they believe that their word is law. Here's what the law says. ICE agents do not have absolute immunity. They are protected by qualified immunity for actions within their duties, but can be prosecuted for breaking state federal laws, with recent discussions and proposed legislation challenging these protections, especially regarding constitutional violations. While they have significant federal protections, claims of absolute immunity by figures like VP Vance or Stephen Miller are legally inaccurate, as federal agents are still subject to the law, though overcoming those immunities is a high bar. Family, walk with me down memory lane for a moment. I'm going to share a personal story with y'all. When I was in my late teens, early 20s, I was very much an idealist. One might even say altruistic. I saw society as being upwardly mobile. Societies are supposed to go forward, not backwards. I don't think many of us can argue that the society we're living in right now in the United States of America is going backwards. But anyway, I'm seeing so many advances in the way that we communicate with one another, race relations and things like that. I'm thinking we're doing pretty good. I didn't realize that there were so many racists in America and so many hateful people in America who was just suppressing their anger. So we never really was doing better. It's just that people were faking their illness. Kind of like if you have a family member who's coughing or whatever, or they're sick, and they try to hide the fact that they're coughing when they're around you because they don't want you to be worried. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to ring the alarm, right? So I had no idea that things were as bad as they were under the surface. I questioned, how could 1930s Germany happen? How barbaric must those people have been? And now, today, I'm actually living amongst the same type of uncivilized mutts who lived at that time, who was part of 1960s, 1930s Germany. I'm living amongst them. They want blood. They want to harm people who don't share their beliefs, their backgrounds, their skin color. They want to commit genocide. They want mass genocide. This is not just about immigration. This is about annihilation. The U.S. government is taking on one group at a time. After they get through with the Latinos and the blacks, and then the Asians, because absolutely they are coming for y'all too. Then they're coming for white folks. Because you got to keep in mind, the biggest thing that drives them is not skin color, it's hatred. They got to find somebody to hate. So if it ain't this group or that group, they're going to start hurting from within. And they're already doing that. For example, Renee Good. They're already doing that. But believe you me, it's going to be a lot more of that. Because there's just certain people who have that hatred degenerate gene. Yeah, they got it, man. They got it. And they live for it. It's just something in them. I mean, if you think about some of the things that their ancestors did to black folks, when you think of these uncivilized mutts feeding babies to alligators, stomping unborn babies out of mothers' wombs, raping men, women, and children, minors, little girls and boys, as young as 2, in front of the entire plantation, broad daylight. When you think of them boiling human beings alive, burning human beings alive, the lynchings, the chopping off one limb at a time, the selling of human beings, the buying and selling of human beings and selling them off to the highest bidder, breaking up families, sending the mother to this state, the father to that state, the children who never get to know each other, never get to see each other again. There has to be an extremely degenerate gene in people who behave like that. So what we're seeing now is only an extension. It ain't like we're watching something that never happened before. They're just getting started, fam. They're just getting started. They're ramping it up. They're ramping it up. And for Stephen Miller to tell these ICE agents that they have absolute immunity, he's gonna get a lot of them in trouble. But in addition to that, it is very dangerous because innocent people are going to die. They're already dying. But there's going to be an uptick of innocent people being murdered and being victimized, sodomized, brutalized by ICE agents. When you got the Homeland Security Advisor, the Secretary of State, the Vice President, the President himself telling you, go get him, do your job, you better not mess with him, that can give you a sense of superiority. And for a lot of these guys who are joining ICE lately, it's something they never had, and it's something they're taking full advantage of. They're out there essaying, they're killing, they're stealing, they're robbing people, they're doing all kinds of things. They're lawless. Yeah. And Trump deputized them because he wants to make sure that when the time comes for him, that they take it easy on him. He's hoping that the criminals keep him safe. That's what he's praying on. That is what his hope is, that the criminals keep him safe. This is absolutely disgusting, fam. And it's going to get way worse than this. Yeah, man, I remember distinctly growing up and looking at how all of this stuff happened in the past. And I was thinking to myself, thank God we're beyond that. Thank God that's behind us. What Stephen Miller is saying is reckless. Telling ICE agents, basically, that they have a license to kill. Now, the thing is, most of them are too dumb to do the research and find out that they don't have a license to kill. They don't really have qualified or absolute qualified immunity. They don't have that. But most of them are not going to do the research. All they're going to do is hear their boss. Man, the boss say we can kill. Man, the boss say we can do order. They better not touch us. And they're going to act on that. Yeah. I never thought in a million years that this government, I'm talking about this government of today, right? Not Trump administration, but the government of today, would form a Gestapo type of organization to go after its own people, to terrorize its own people. But they got us worried about China and Russia. China and Russia is not the problem. America's biggest threat is America. No more talk.